It's time for RSM, the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back, Rams fans, for another exciting episode of Ram Sports Magazine Show. It was Border War week for both the CSU volleyball and CSU football team, but our first stop takes us to the gridiron to see how the Rams did when they tried to bring home the bronze boot for the first time in 3 years.
The Cowboys were the first to get on the board after true freshman quarterback Brett Smith hooked up with a wide-open Chris McNeil from 26 yards out. The Rams would answer right back, though, as Connor Smith goes deep into double coverage for Kevon Cartwright. The ball would bounce around all three players before Christmas came early for Thomas Kaufman, who was trailing the play. He would take the ball in from 75 yards out, and it began to look like we had an old shootout on our hands. On the Cowboys' next possession, Smith would lead them down the field again, converting on 4 long third downs before he would cap it off, finding Brandon Miller, again all by himself. Where was the Rams' defense? CSU charged back down the field on their next drive, led by the strong running game of Donnell Alexander. After getting stuffed on the goal line in their first 2 tries, the Rams went to the air on their third, but it would be picked off by Blair Burns, and he would take it 99 yards the other way, easily the biggest play of the game. The Rams' offense looked shaken after that, and after they gave the ball back to the Cowboys, Smith would lead them down the field again. This time he would throw a strike to Robert Herron from 9 yards out. Wyoming extended their lead to 28-7. Right before half, though, the Rams tried to work their way back into it as Alexander showed great patience and gets the edge on the stretch play, taking it in from 11 yards out. 14-28 Cowboys at the break. The Rams seemed to be right back in it after they tacked on a field goal, but Smith wasn't going to let them off the hook that easy. On this broken play, Smith shows his athletic ability as he gets to the outside and extends just enough to sneak it in for the score. The Cowboys then blew this one wide open as Smith hooked up with Dominic Ruffin for his 4th passing TD of the day. The Rams would tack on a couple of TDs late, but it was never enough. Wyoming takes this one 45-31 and will keep the boot for the 4th straight year. Here's head coach Jim McAway after the game.
What a great rivalry. You know, I did a lot of research and being part of that, at 5 a.m., seeing those cadets carry that ball, and then Kelly was there, being at the handoff point, and then really doing the research on the game itself. And I do really believe our guys approached it the way that they should approach it, and with the respect it deserves, not to take anything away from Wyoming and how they played in that game. I thought their quarterback was a difference. I really do. I thought he kind of took them on their shoulders a little bit and showed the kind of player he is. I think the important thing is continuing to learn lessons when adversity is upon you, and how you deal with that is something that each one of us needs to check who we are in our whole card.
This week, the Rams have been preparing to take on a struggling 1-8 UNLV team. Despite the record, Coach Mack has seen plenty of reasons on film as to why they need to be taken seriously on Saturday.
Well, and I know Brent, obviously, who took over their offense, and he's an offensive line guy. You can see that personality is driven in. We're going to run the ball and run the ball to win, and then take your shots, with your young quarterback, and they've got some skill, as well, and they got some size now. They, up front, and they got some speed.
Important to note that sophomore first-string quarterback Garrett Grayson is ruled out for this weekend and possibly the remainder of the season after re-injuring his non-throwing shoulder.
It's in our best interest, from here on out to get him fully healed. Sometimes as a coach, you got to do what's best for the individual and not for you.
The Rams will also be without the service of preseason first-team running back Chris Woke on the field, but for a much different reason. The 1,000-yard rusher has found himself in Coach Mack's doghouse for weeks now as he continues to struggle with ball control. And that problem has led Coach to naming Alexander the starter on Saturday.
You can't give the ball to the other team. Just can't do it. And it's that simple. The year before, they put it on the ground 11 times. I don't care how many 1,000 yards you rush for, right? I don't care that only 2 of them were lost. The fact is, the ball's on the ground 11 times. I mean, let's be realists here.
All right, Rams fans, we're going to take our first quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere, because on the other side, we're going to check in with the volleyball team and see how they did in their version of the Border War game.
You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5. You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back, Rams fans. The CSU volleyball team traveled up to Wyoming to play their version of the Border War game against a very tough Cowgirl team. Let's check in now and see how they did.
The Cowgirls have one of the hardest gyms for opposing teams to play in, and it was just that much more packed since the Rams were coming into town. In the first set, Megan Plord and Deidre Foss would play a little defense and send this one back with a big block. The Rams take the first set 25-19. The Cowgirls would play a much more determined set, powered by the sold-out crowd cheering them on. Neither team would be able to get the upper hand until senior Dana Cranston would power home a monster kill. At set point, the Rams would go back to their preseason co-player of the year, and she would deliver again. CSU would take the second set 25-21. The Rams would go for the knockout punch in the third set. After a long rally, senior Breon Page would eventually take advantage of a poor set by the Cowgirls and hammer it home for a kill. The Rams end up taking this one and sweeping the season series with the Cowgirls. One player who had an outstanding match was freshman Kayla Thomas, and we caught up with her afterwards.
All right, Rams fans, we're now joined by Kayla Thomas. Thank you for joining us. So you guys just went up and played Wyoming. Obviously a huge rivalry game for you guys. What was the environment like up there?
The environment was pretty intense. They had a lot of fans there. The gym was completely packed. So there's a lot of energy already just getting up because of that. The fans were just creating a lot of ruckus, and it was a fun environment. Those are the ones that like play competitive and kind of use that energy against them and for us. So it was pretty cool.
You guys definitely seemed like you were building off of the energy in the building, not just them, but from everyone in the opposing crowd.
Yeah.
And you guys were much more charismatic on the court. Did you guys feel that you're feeding off of them as well?
Yeah, I totally thought, at least I know like for me, like that energy I used to feed off to help me play better, and I know that's what the team did, because using that energy and using it to just play well helped kind of turn it around a little bit so that it wasn't so obnoxious. But yeah, we also had our fans there, which was pretty cool, so hearing them cheer for us was pretty awesome.
It was also a very small gym. I mean, was it difficult playing in an environment where you're that, I guess, tied in and you can just see the opposing crowd and everyone around?
Yeah, was the smallness of the gym was definitely a little hard. Seeing everyone so close and almost like in your face, especially if you were like on the bench and like standing right next to them. So yeah, that was a little intense. But like I said, we used that, we kind of just laughed at what they were saying and used it kind of against them, and I think it really helped just how we played.
So how do you feel about where you guys are right now, and how do you feel moving forward?
Feels pretty good right now. I mean, it's definitely a little tight because we are tied with San Diego, but I think if we do our job and win the rest of our games, play competitive and go all out this weekend and really make a statement of who we are to the rest of these teams, I think it'll go well for us, and we'll be just fine. So.
All right, well, we look forward to watching this weekend, and thank you for joining us.
This week, the Rams have a huge test when they play a third-ranked UNLV team, as well as a Fresno State team that had already beaten the Rams in an epic 5-set match earlier this year. We caught up with head coach Tom Hilbert to ask him what his team should expect this time around.
All right, Rams fans, we're now joined by head coach Tom Hilbert. Thank you for joining us today. So you guys return home now for 2 very important matches here at home. Going against UNLV, their third in conference right behind you guys. How big of a game is that? Is that going to be, I mean, is that the biggest game up to date?
Really, Spencer, every game is of equal importance, because I don't think we can lose another one and still win the Mountain West. So every match is big, but because they're a quality team, I think it makes it really big. I mean, they have 2 great outside hitters, and they're competitive with every team in the league. So we need to be ready to play on Saturday, and I think if we come out focused, we'll get a win.
How much confidence does it give you and the rest of the girls having gone to UNLV and swept them already there once?
Well, it gives you a lot of confidence, but you got to be careful not to let that trap you. They played actually pretty well. We played very, very well in Vegas. Offensively, they'll have a different plan for us to defend us, which means, you know, we could struggle a little bit. We've got to be able to stop them a little better than we did in Las Vegas.
You're one win back of San Diego in the win column, and you say you need to win out probably to catch them.
Yeah.
Compare the remaining schedule, I guess, for you guys versus what they have left.
I think theirs is easier. If you ask me, it would surprise me if they lost another match. That's why I think it's so important for us to win every match we play. And then if we end up tied, we'll win in the tiebreaker.
Do you think this team has a strong enough RPI that if you didn't win conference that you could get an at-large bid into the tournament?
We'd be on the bubble. We're at 38 right now, and you know, it would depend on how they look at other things. I think 35 to 40 are bubble teams, and so there's no guarantee.
Looking at that second game, you got Fresno State, new to the Mountain West. You guys kind of didn't, hadn't seen them a lot, obviously, going in that first match. They surprised you guys and got that one. Now you turn home. Is there any, I guess, grudge match, and that's something that you guys want to prove to them?
Without a doubt, because I really feel like our team felt like that was a match they should have won, and you know, they had a player named Corinne Wild who played very well against us, and we weren't expecting that. We'll be better prepared for them as we play them this time, and you know, I think our team has something to prove.
Those are both going to be here. You guys have been almost unstoppable here at home, and it's on top of that, it'll be an orange out. How much of an advantage is that when you have the crowd not just, you know, being excited to be here, but then they have all that extra stuff amped, you know, getting towards the end of conference? What can that do for your team?
Well, we play better here because we have energy, you know what I mean? And it keeps us alert, it keeps us focused and comfortable. And so when you're comfortable and you're alert, you play better defense, you play better in the serving and passing game, and those are the areas that we didn't play very well in Fresno. And I think we'll be better. You know, we were really good as a serving and passing team actually against Las Vegas before, but we weren't great defensively, and we'll step that up.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, Coach, and we can't wait to watch you guys this weekend. All right, Rams fans, we're going to take another quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere, because on the other side, we're going to check in with the men's basketball team and preview this weekend's match against Montana.
You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5. You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back, Rams fans. The CSU men's basketball team got things started off quickly as they dominated Metro State in their only exhibition game. This weekend they take on a Montana team that they've played 3 of the last 4 years. Let's check in now and preview it.
Last time we got to see CSU men's basketball team was when they dominated Metro State, but that was nearly 10 days ago. This weekend they tip off the season for the real thing when they take on Montana here at home. One player expected to make a huge impact this year is senior guard Dorian Green, and we caught up with him to ask what we should expect to see on Friday.
We're joined now by Dorian Green. Dorian, thank you for joining us today. So you guys finished your first exhibition game. How do you feel about how the team played in that one?
Well, not our best. I think, you know, we got a lot to improve on, and we're going to get better. Just the transition period with the new coaching staff, but we're picking things up, and a lot to look forward to because we got a lot of stuff to get better at.
Speaking about the new coaching staff, how difficult is that going into your senior year, being used to the same coach you had, you know, Miles, the first 3 years? Then you come in and Stacey comes in, changes maybe the culture, a couple of the things. How hard is that, the transition?
Well, it's been, you know, difficult at times, but not too bad because we've had we had a 10-day trip to the Bahamas, so we had 10 practices and got to go down there and play. So it's definitely you know, different, but I think we're picking things up, and you know, just gotta kind of go with it. You know, coaches do things differently, so we've been adjusted to it. But that 10-day Bahama trip really helped.
So it's going to be your senior, or it is your senior year now. Any you know, remorse over looking at this is going to be your last time to be able to take the court here at Moby or anything like that?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely a sense of urgency, I think, is what our senior group brings, and just the chemistry that we have. We played together for so long. We've been together for so long. So I know we definitely look forward to this last year and coming out with a big sense of urgency.
Yeah, speaking of that, people look at how far you guys went last year, looking at all the players returning, and they're talking about how far this team can actually go. Where do you see the ceiling being for this team?
Well, you never really know. I know we've got a lot of good players, a lot of talent, guys that play unselfish and play well together. But we just got to get better. Take it one game at a time. We learned that last year. Each game is very pivotal for the success of the entire year. So just play well together and just take it one game at a time. And you never know what can happen.
Looking at that one game at a time, the first game coming up, you got Montana. What have you seen on them in film, and what do you guys know about them?
Well, we know that they're good. We've played them. This is our third time in 4 years that we played them, so we know that they have some good players. They won the conference last year. They're projected to win it this year. Made it to the tournament last year, and we got a chance to make it again this year. So definitely a talented team, got good players. So we've got to be ready to come out and play and expect a battle for 40 minutes.
Coming back at home for that game, how's it going to feel to be back under the lights? Playing an exhibition game is one thing, but to have that season really get going, what's the feeling going to be like going into that game?
Well, it's going to be exciting. I know we are very excited to get started and get this season going. We've done a lot of conditioning, a lot of hard work. A lot of practices leading up to this, so we're ready to get the season finally started.
Getting it started, building off of that, you guys have some new pieces this year. Colton Iverson, who of course was there last year but had to sit out, and you got the two freshmen. What kind of impact do you see them having this season?
Well, I think this is the deepest team we've ever had. The transfers coming in, and then we've added, some freshmen and some JUCO transfers, and so we've got a lot of talent, a lot of depth, and guys that can come in and help right away. I think they're going to make good impacts and play big roles and throughout the season. And it takes a team effort on a nightly basis. No matter how much each person plays, they have a big role on the team. So I think that this is the deepest team we've had. It pushes everybody to be better, and it's probably the most talented team we've had by far. So I'm definitely excited to see what we can do.
All right. Well, we're all excited to watch this too, and thank you for joining us, Dorian.
Thank you.
This will be the first real game the Rams have played under head coach Larry Eustace. Eustace has tried hard to change the culture of the team to one that focuses on defense and rebounding, and it is shown not just in the practice, but in the exhibition game as well. The true test will come on Friday, though, when the tip-off is set for 7 o'clock in Moby Gym.
All right, Rams fans, we're going to go and take our last quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere, because on the other side, we're going to check in with the women's basketball team and see how they did in their exhibition game, as well as preview their upcoming game against Montana.
You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5. You're watching the Ram Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.
Welcome back, Rams fans. The CSU women's basketball team hosted Colorado School of the Mines in their only exhibition game. Let's check in now and see how they did.
CSU women's basketball hosted Metro State for their only exhibition game of the season. In the first half, Ladea Forte finds true freshman Taylor Varsho spotting up for three for one of her 10 assists. A few plays later, it's Amber McKeever pulling the trigger from beyond the arc on a step back. The Rams would take a slim 27-15 lead into halftime. The offense got rolling in the second half, though, as Sam Martin couldn't connect from three, but Varsho would pick up one of her 10 rebounds and put it back up and in. The Rams end up taking this one, 61-48. We caught up with Varsho to look back at the matchup against School of the Mines and to preview this weekend's game against Montana.
All right, Rams fans, we're now joined by Taylor Varsho. Taylor, thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
So you guys finished your first exhibition game. What was it like for you out there in your first college exhibition game?
I think coming from high school, it's definitely a different pace out there, and getting your first feet in the water was a great experience for me, and working with such a great group of girls, it was just a great experience just to get out there, get my first touches, here and there. We started off a little shaky, but I think once we start to play more together, I think we'll mesh. So.
What were some of the initial, differences you saw from the high school game that were different in college?
I think just the movement of the pace of the ball a lot, because in high school a lot of people walk the ball up the court where it's pushing the ball all the time, and the timeouts too. You don't get very many timeouts in high school, and the TV timeouts especially were a big difference. So, and it's good because in high school you can't go for 20 minutes and not get a break. So those two probably were the biggest differences for me. So
So you guys are getting ready for Montana now. What have some of the older girls told you about what you should expect in the first actual game?
They haven't really said too much about it, but in practice, we really have been working on like screens and how to defend the screens and different sets that we can portray to go off the screens. And I think just being ready and learning from our mistakes from the exhibition game, I think that by clearing up those mistakes, we'll be ready for it.
Is it difficult for you going from a team where you would have been, the star player, going to one that there's multiple players who are used to doing that, and maybe transitioning to more of a team type role?
I like the team type role. You can't just have one person out there doing everything. There has to be 5 people on the court at all times, and 5 people that are wanting one goal, and that is to win the game. Whether who scores or who gets steals out there, it doesn't really matter. It just ends up who gets the W at the end.
Looking at that first exhibition game, I thought it was really funny going in because Coach Williams described you as being a scrappy type player. And you look at the stat sheet, and it wasn't just points where you saw you were making an impact. You had a lot of rebounds and stuff too. Is that something where you see yourself contributing as much as you can in every area, or do you see yourself more as just a shooter that can stretch the court?
They strive on both in practice, and they really want me crashing the boards out there and being at the boards 100% of the time. And, the points, we'll get points here and there, but, their number one goal for me out there is to get on the boards, and offensively especially, so.
So Moby this will be your first time playing in Moby.
Yes.
Any excitement, any jitters, any nervousness going into that game?
I think there will be a lot of nerves going through my body when it gets closer, but I think getting the first step in the water again with the exhibition game, I think our team and myself will be ready to go.
Sounds good. Well, we look forward to watching you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, Rams fans, well, that's all the time I have for you today, but make sure to check in next week for another exciting episode of Rams Sports Magazine Show.
This has been RSM, the Rams Sports Magazine Show on Northern Colorado 5.